So, as you guessed, it is wedding tutorial. So this is mostly for summer. I'm picking more of like mauve, you know, purpley type colors than the typical brown. I might do another one on that. So yeah, it's really fun time for weddings to come out. I'm gonna get a little bit busy with the weddings coming up and people needing their makeup done or maybe getting, you know, their eyebrows waxed or something like that. It's really a fun time. And I'm also going to quite a few weddings, so I always have fun at that. Yeah, it's just a really basic tutorial, whether you're doing it yourself or getting inspiration to let your makeup artist know, or just for future references. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, so I already moisturized my face, but I'm going to go ahead and use my Lorac oil neutralizer. This is really going to help me because I do have oily skin, and it's not really good to sweat on your wedding day. So I'm just definitely applying that in my T-zone, because that's where I get the oiliest, and then I'll spread it out. This also will take a bit of the redness away around my nose and any, I don't know, I have a lot of redness in my face, so that also helps. Okay, so I have two foundations I'm going to be using. I'm using Nars in Medium 2, the Sheer Glow, and I'm also going to be using Makeup Forever HD. Now I'm doing this because in the summertime we are a lot darker than we usually are in the winter seasons, so I'm going to be mixing those two because this one is definitely lighter than the Makeup Forever. There are so many different foundations to use. I love this foundation. It's great. And actually both of them, I like full coverage, but if you don't want it, don't use as much or apply it differently, because the application of it actually goes into how full of an application you want. So if you want more of a sheer, more natural, not as thick, I definitely would use like an airbrush brush. This, like a stippling brush, is great. It gives you like an airbrush finish, and also just any type of brush like this would be okay if you just apply it lightly, but I do want a heavier one, so I am going to be using my Real Techniques brush, and then I'll be using my Beauty Blender to just pat that in so it's really set. Okay, so I have two foundations I'm going to be using. In summertime, we are a lot darker than we usually are in the winter seasons, so I'm going to be mixing those two because this one is definitely lighter than the Makeup Forever. There are so many different foundations to use. I love this foundation. It's great. And actually both of them, I like full coverage, but if you don't want it, don't use as much or apply it differently, because the application of it actually goes into how full of an application you want. So if you want more of a sheer, more natural, not as thick, I definitely would use like, so I'm going to take my Beauty Blender and just press that into my skin. Okay, for concealer, I'm going to be using my Cover FX, and I'm actually going to be using 3 of them. I'm using Cover FX in E0, E30, and C40. So I'm just going to be kind of mixing those together just to get the right color for where there's redness, where there's a bit of purple and blue under my eyes, so I could find the right shade that needs to be done. And I'm going to be using a Coastal Scents brush, C421 mini concealer brush. So just kind of customizing what concealer I want to use. I'm going to go in and set that with my Cover FX setting powder. I use this mostly Makeup Forever HD. It does have a bounce back with light. I've never had a problem with it. I've worn this, gone out, had a night out, even in the day taking pictures. Nothing was ever the problem with flash photography. But here's the catch. I like a full coverage foundation, and I always use like a powder foundation, like the Nars or something like that. I'll use that over it, and it covers it up enough so there's no way it can bounce back. A lot of people that want a lighter foundation coverage, they'll just set their cream or liquid concealer with a setting powder, and then that will be it. So I wouldn't recommend it for wedding, but if you want to try it, if you want to do a trial, or even a night out, anytime, you can use this, but only if you put something over it. So because I'm not going to do too much over this, I am going to be using my Cover FX, which does not bounce back. And the reason that Makeup Forever HD does bounce back, it's because it's made with 100% silica. And that's why it feels so beautiful. But yes, that is not a good option if you're just going to wear that. Put something on top of it, perfect. But if you don't, that's going to happen. And I always like to do this with a stippling brush. It's really good to use like a nice fan brush, but this also works for me too. Just really lightly. Okay, so to top off all the foundation, I'm going to be using Inglot's Freedom System. It's the pressed powder in 15, and the other one is 53, so it's a lot darker. And I'm going to be mixing those together, just kind of contouring and bronzing it up a bit. And I'm going to be using my Coastal Scents brush. I don't know the name of it, because there's no name for it. So it's just a big dome brush. Any brush you want is fine. So I'm just dusting some of that on there. And I'm just hitting my face with the brush, and then I'll swirl it in. Just bring this down to my neck. I'm probably gonna get red now because this is irritating. Shouldn't have done that, but yeah. Okay, so for eyebrows, I'm using Anastasia's Brow Pencil Brow Wiz, and it's an ash blonde. And then I'm also going to be using a few of her colors from her Brow Pro palette. And I usually stick to the golden blonde, and then sometimes I'll do like the taupe for like the ends to be a little bit darker. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm a really good thing to remember is for your wedding day to make sure that your eyebrows definitely have really good upkeeping. Depending on when you get your trial done, always make sure, I mean, if it's 2 months in advance, if it's 1 month in advance, make sure that you're richly making sure that your eyebrows are getting the attention they need. If that's waxing or threading, make sure that you're on a consistent schedule. Now, usually for waxing hair, we recommend, 4 weeks. Eyebrows, it's different. There'll be a hair that sprouts up. So make sure that you're kind of like on a regimen, and definitely making sure that by the time your wedding day comes, there isn't much to do. If you need to do it that week, great. Do not get them done the day before. You will be red. You might have breakouts. That is not good. Maybe a tweeze here and there. If you have to, that's fine, but definitely not a wax or a thread. So that's just really important to keep in mind. Okay, for my eye primer, I'm using Senna Cosmetics, and this is in Light 1. And, I don't usually use a primer for the eyeshadow. It's more to define the brow bone. So this is what I'll be using. Okay, so for right under my brow bone to my highlight, I'm using Senna's Flare, and this is just a really nice highlight. It's not too shimmery, so just right underneath. Okay, for my crease, I'm going to go in with my Lorac Mint Edition palette, and it's in the matte section, and it's this color right there. It's just a really nice warm brown, and I may have to mix that to make it a bit darker depending on what I want. So I'm also going to go in with a Senna Crease 27 brush. So I'm going to start on the outer corner and just bring that in really softly. This is just a really nice warm taupe color. It's kind of a little pink. I'm just blending that up a bit. Okay, going in with my Lorac Pro palette, I'm going to be using Pewet, I believe, and also Mauve right above it. And that's still kind of going with the color theme here. Now, Pewet does have some sheer to it, so, and Mauve is matte, but I'm only putting that on the outer corner just to give me more definition. And I'm still using my brush, the same brush, because it is a bit bigger and it's better for blending. I don't want anything too dense. Okay, so this is kind of when I go back in with my primer, and I go right here on my lid just to kind of bring that color back and cancel out any shadow that's gotten there, because I do want the color that I'm going to apply next to really pop. Okay, so I'm going to go back with my Mint palette from Lorac, and I'm going to go in and use this nice pink color. And I might mix that with a little bit of the white, and this definitely is sheen. So I don't want it too pink. I just want it to be a nice highlight, still keeping it natural, and just blending that in. Okay, so for underneath, I'm going to go back to that pewter, and I'm going to put that darkest on the inside and flaring it out, so it's going to get gradually lighter. I don't want raccoon eyes. Okay, for liner I'm using MAC's Blacktrack in the 263 brush. And I'm just doing a nice line and making sure that lash line just has more definition because my eyelashes are very light. I'm not doing anything fancy, I'm just going right above my lashes. Now, I love gel liners. Stila is my favorite, but I don't want that wet look, so that is why I'm using this. It is more matte, and what one could do after you do this is just kind of put another, like a coat of black eyeshadow on top of that to set it more, and I may just do that. Okay, so once I curled my lashes, I'm going to go in with my Diorshow, Diorshow waterproof mascara. Definitely use a waterproof mascara. And of course, I'm also going to be using another mascara. I'm going to be using Maybelline's Falsies waterproof. So, coat with as much mascara as you need, but definitely make it waterproof. Okay, so for my bronzer, I'm going to go in with Nars Laguna, of course, my favorite. And just going to apply that really natural as well. I definitely recommend touching up throughout the night. If you have more of a daytime wedding, do this as subtle and just really natural bronze glow. But if it changes to nighttime, make sure that you have this handy to possibly darken it up a little bit, just because it will be nighttime and you'll want that to just show if you want that definition. Okay, so for blush, I think I'm going to go in with Sephora Cinnamon Spice, and that's just a really nice peachy pink color. Let's see, and I'm going to be using my Real Techniques blush brush. So just something, I'm going to blend that in right into my bronzer. And what I did do off camera, because it was kind of heating up too much, I did put a liner on my waterline. I was using Senna's Out of Sight pencil. It's discontinued. Any nude, cream, white, whatever you want will work perfectly. I do like Senna's just because I find that it's the most waterproof liner that I've found for the waterline, so that's what I used it. For highlight, I think I'm going to be also using Senna's Warm Glow. Use this a lot, and I'm going to use my finger. I'm just going to highlight right there. Right in my temples. Have that lifted, open effect. And I like to put my my highlight right here on my chin and right on my Cupid's bow. And lastly, right in the center. Okay, for lip liner, I'm going to be using Starlooks Tickle Me Pink. It's very, very pink. And I don't want too much on. Just gonna outline my lips. And just kind of bring it down and rub it together. And then on top of that, I'm going to be using MAC's Jubilee lipstick. It's just a really nice natural color. Okay, so that's the finished look. Yeah, it's kind of just natural colors. It was just really gentle. I would wear this even on a night out, but definitely just remember the key things of, you know, if it's summer, you might just have to just mix and match your foundation, and that's okay if you are doing your own makeup. And just make sure that you don't use a setting powder that is flashback. You know, test everything and really talk to your makeup artist if you are going to be getting it done, and make sure that, you know, you're comfortable with letting her or him know what you really want, if you want something more dramatic. And just remember, a lot of people always go natural, natural, natural. Well, you want to look like you on your wedding day, but if you don't, that's okay. If you don't normally do a winged liner or a strong red lip, but you want to for your wedding day, why not? Do what you want to do. Just make sure that you try it out first. But also, a lot of people say go as natural as possible. If you don't normally wear your makeup that natural, if you do have a fuller foundation or just a fuller coverage, or maybe, you know, a really dramatic eye, don't change that just for your wedding day. You want to look like you. You want to do what feels natural to you, not necessarily, you know, the most minimal product, because you know what? Every single Hollywood star out there, anyone that usually gets married, they are not just wearing no makeup. They have a full face. So do what you want to do. Either if you want to do it yourself, make sure you just do a bunch of test runs, do it with flash photography, and just make sure if you are getting it done with a makeup artist, that they know what you want and that you can definitely let them know and be confident in how you want it. So that's all I have to say about that. But if you are getting married with this month or next month, or, you know, in years to come, I hope that day is amazing, and I hope it doesn't rain. But you know what, if it does, that's okay, because it'll all turn out for the best. So yes, I hope you like it, and I hope your wedding day is amazing. Bye!